New Jersey is famous for a lot of truly great things, right? From the beautiful shorelines down the coast to some of the most incredible diners you'll ever eat at. But let's be real, unfortunately, it's also famous for maintaining some of the heaviest property tax burdens in the entire country. We're talking median annual bills that frequently blow right past $9,000. For our senior citizens and residents with permanent disabilities, that constantly rising municipal tax rate, it can create some severe financial strain. But there is a powerful insulation mechanism built right in by the state, and that is exactly what we're focusing on today. Welcome. Think of this explainer as your ultimate step-by-step map to transformative financial relief through the New Jersey Senior Freeze program.
So, are you absolutely exhausted by seeing your property tax bill climb higher and higher every single year? Well, you are definitely not alone. It's a massive pain point for so many households across the state. But the good news is, by the end of this explainer, you're going to have exactly what you need to successfully apply for relief, secure your baseline, and finally keep those rising costs in check. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. Number 1, introduction to Senior Freeze. 2, step-by-step application process. 3, common application mistakes. 4, understanding the freeze benefits. 5, follow-up and troubleshooting. And finally, 6, resources and program support.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Introduction to Senior Freeze, Unlocking Your Eligibility.
First off, we've got to bust a really common myth right out of the gate. Despite its incredibly catchy name, the Senior Freeze program doesn't literally freeze your local property tax bill. No, your municipality is still going to send you a bill for the full amount, and yes, you still have to pay it. But here's the magic. What the state actually does is reimburse you for the difference between your property taxes in your established base year and your taxes in the current year. Basically, the state cuts you a check annually to offset that increase.
So who actually gets to cash this check? Let's walk through the checklist for the 2025 filing cycle. You need to be 65 or older by December 31st of the application year, or be receiving federal Social Security disability payments. You've got to own and actually live in your primary home or lease a site in a mobile home park. Now listen to this third point, because it's huge. It used to be that you needed to be a New Jersey resident for 10 consecutive years to qualify. Well, they completely eliminated that 10-year rule. Now you just need to have owned and lived in your home since December 31, 2022. Lastly, of course, you must have paid your property taxes on time and meet the income limits. And speaking of income limits, take a look at this number. $172,475. That is the expanded income limit for the 2025 tax year, up from just over $168,000 in 2024. Guys, these expansions are massive. They literally just open the door for 58,000 new households to claim this benefit, people who just missed the cutoff in previous years. So if you thought you made too much in the past, it is absolutely time to run your numbers again.
Moving on to Section 2, step-by-step application process. Navigating the Unified Pass 1 form. If you've looked into this program before, you might be having flashbacks to dealing with a mountain of multiple forms. Like the PTR1 for the freeze, and then totally separate paperwork for the Anchor program. Well, you can forget all about that. The state completely simplified things. They rolled the Senior Freeze, Anchor, and the new Stay and J programs into one single unified application called the PAS1. So it's just one form for multiple potential benefits, a real game changer.
Getting this done really boils down to 3 simple steps. First, you confirm your base year, which establishes your starting tax amount. Second, you calculate your total gross income. Now keep in mind here, with very few exceptions, you have to report almost all the income you received, even if you don't normally report it on your regular New Jersey income tax return. Finally, you submit that PAS1. And here is some fantastic news. You no longer have to include proof of property taxes paid with your initial submission. The state handles all that verification on the back end now, which saves you a whole lot of immediate paperwork. Now, if you are doing things the old school way and submitting a paper application, pay close attention to this. Notice how the numbers should be printed cleanly inside the boundaries of the boxes when you're writing in your income or any data onto that PASS form. There are no dollar signs, there are no dashes, because computers are scanning these forms, and if you use messy symbols or right outside the lines, your application is going to get kicked out or delayed. Which brings us to Section 3, Common Application Mistakes, and how to avoid them. Okay, let's talk about the pitfalls that frequently trip people up. Remember, this relief is for your primary residence only. You absolutely cannot apply for a vacation home, a second home, or a property that you rent out to someone else. Properties with more than 4 units, or properties making pilot payments, meaning payments in lieu of tax. Those don't qualify either. And finally, watch out for this huge accounting trap.
If you have a net loss in one category of income, say your business took a hit, you cannot use it to offset income or gains in a totally different category, like your pension. If a category operates at a loss, you simply leave that line blank on the application. And please, if you only remember one thing from this explainer, make it this: the continuous eligibility rule. Once you establish your base year, you must apply and meet all eligibility requirements every single year to keep it. If you forget to file for even 1 year, you lose that locked-in base year and you have to start all over again at whatever the current, much higher tax rate is. Seriously, do not miss a year.
Let's look at Section 4, Understanding the Freeze Benefits, Visualizing Your Savings.
Let's put some real numbers to this with a hypothetical scenario so you can see the power of this program. Let's say in year 1, your municipal tax bill is $9,000. You apply, and since it's your first eligible year, that $9,000 becomes your locked-in base year tax. You don't get a check yet, but you've set the foundation. Now, fast forward to year 2. Your town raises taxes, and your bill goes up to $9,300. You pay the town the full $9,300, but because your base is locked at $9,000, the state sends you a reimbursement check for $300. By year 3, your tax bill climbs to $9,750, but your base year, it's still protected at $9,000. So that year, the state sends you a check for $750. Over a decade, as taxes compound, these checks often grow into the thousands. It's incredibly powerful. Section 5, Follow-up and Troubleshooting. What happens after you submit? So for the 2025 tax year application, the filing deadline is actually remarkably far out, November 2, 2026. But you don't want to wait because the state starts processing and mailing out the very first round of checks around July 15th. After that initial summer drop, they continue issuing payments on a rolling basis. So simply put, the earlier you get your clean application in, the sooner in the summer you're going to see that relief check in your mailbox.
Of course, life happens, right? So here are a few quick troubleshooting tips. If your property taxes are ever reduced because of a town reassessment or a tax appeal, the state might adjust your base year downward to match the new assessed amount, which actually works out great for you. Also, if an applicant's spouse passes away during the year, you can definitely still file. Just apply as the surviving spouse and be sure to include a copy of the death certificate. And remember, at any time, if you're sitting there wondering where your check is, you can just hop onto the state's online portal to securely check your application status.
Finally, Section 6, Resources and Program Support. Where to get help. State Treasurer Elizabeth Maher-Muyo recently stated, "We encourage all eligible residents to take advantage of the new online filing option, making it easier to apply and receive the benefit they deserve." And honestly, she hit the nail on the head. Applying online via the state's portal dramatically reduces the chance of those silly formatting errors we talked about earlier, and it really speeds up your processing time. If you want to file online, check your status, or just need to ask a specific question, grab a pen. Here are your actionable contacts. You can call the dedicated Senior Freeze Hotline at 1-800-882-6597. You can access the online portal directly at njportal.com/taxation/PTR. And hey, if you prefer face-to-face assistance, the state actually partners with VITA and TCE volunteer locations. These are trained tax counselors who can literally sit down and help you prepare your application in person. You just call that hotline number to find the location nearest to you. Well, we've covered a whole lot of ground today, haven't we? From tracking down your exact eligibility to navigating that new unified PAS-1 form, all the way to visualizing your growing tax savings. So the only question left for you is, are you ready to lock in your base year and claim the property tax relief you've earned? Gather up your income documents, double-check your eligibility, and take control of your financial future. Just before we wrap up, a quick reminder. State programs like the Senior Freeze are subject to annual state budget changes. Income limits, deadlines, and specific tax regulations can and do update yearly. Always check the New Jersey Division of Taxation's website for the most current information, or consult a certified tax professional for advice tailored to your personal situation. But seriously, with thousands of dollars potentially on the table and the rules constantly evolving, can you really afford to leave your baseline unsecured?